sequestered occultist out of his magic circle and into the broader fields of creativity. Magic can be performed in the cinema, on the dance floor, and in a comic book, and art is no stranger in the halls of ritual and ceremony. In Occulture, these occasional fellow travelers stick together for the duration of the journey, and they usually find some very interesting places to go. What strikes a reader of these sharp forays into the occultural landscape is precisely this breadth of interest and curiosity. I get the feeling from them that their author is determined to find something fascinating in everything, to be able to, like the magician or artist, turn what we might look away from into the center of our attention. Having worked in many of the fields he writes about, producing music, film, fiction, and photography, he is a kind of Renaissance occulturist. Abrahamsson is well equipped for his expeditions. The reader is in the hands of a good guide through a cultural terrain that is not without its pitfalls. Some of the pieces here focus tightly on magical practice, mostly of the Thelemic, that is, Crowleyan variety, and some readers may need a bit of background in this in order to get their full import. But the main ideas are clear and seem to fit in nicely with studies of dolls, dreams, magic as a kind of currency, and occult Bitcoin, and the philosophy of Anton LaVey. A piece on the similarities and differences between Aleister Crowley and Rudolf Steiner draws some surprising comparisons, and one on Jung, mythology, and their appearance in contemporary culture adds some new insights to an often too familiar theme. My own favorites were the pieces on Paul Bowles, Ernst Jünger, and Yukio Mishima, three writers who we would not immediately consider occult, but that Occulture's wide lens can easily fit into its frame. The idea of the expat occultist, a magician constantly on the move, as it were, as Bowles seemed to have been, seems obvious, but I don't think anyone pointed it out as such before. At least, I haven't seen it. Jünger and Mishima seem natural for a comparison. Both, in different ways, had a fascination with combat and battle. Jünger, of course, was a decorated war hero, while Mishima was too young to see combat, a serious failing from his point of view that troubled him throughout his short life. Both developed fastidious, highly polished prose styles, and both were, again in different ways, on the right side of the political spectrum, although Jünger's contemplative detachment is a rather different affair from Mishima's histrionic and fatal acting out. What is important here is that Abrahamsson is taking Occulture down interesting new routes, beyond the pentagrams and black leather that too often obscure its more subtle offerings and provide the uninitiated with kitschy reasons to dismiss it. He is showing that the occulturist perspective can provide new ways in which to see literature, and even the act of writing itself. But what these writings do fundamentally is what all good criticism should: convey the passion and delight that the critic found in his subjects, so that the reader can share in this transformative bounty. This collection, I think, manages that admirably. Gary Lachman, London, November 2016. Gary Lachman is the author of 20 books on the links between consciousness, culture, and the Western inner tradition, most recently, The Lost Knowledge of the Imagination, Beyond the Robot, The Life and Work of Colin Wilson, and The Secret Teachers of the Western World. He writes for different journals in the United States, United Kingdom, and Europe, where he also lectures, and his work has been translated into several languages. He is on the adjunct faculty in transformative studies at the California Institute of Integral Studies. In a former life, he was a member of the pop group Blondie, and in 2006 was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Born in New Jersey, since 1996 he has lived in London. His website is garylachman.co.uk. Chapter 1. Contra Contra means pro. Originally a lecture delivered at the Akademie der Bildenden Kunst in Munich, Germany, 2015. The recent influx, both in substance and attention, of magical thinking, esotericism, and spirituality in a more visible contemporary cultural context has already been well documented. This interdisciplinary lecture series is just one example of an emergence of topics and areas that used to be banned or shunned. Why is this? I'm going to take a look at some possible explanations and shine the light on some current examples of magic, not only as a fascinating and exotic topic, but as an active ingredient in contemporary cultural change. There are so many possible definitions that I think we'll have to begin by narrowing down. Many things, developments, and changes begin in the dark, so to speak, whether it's cultural, political, business-related, or interest group-related, and especially if these contain seeds or ideas that go against the current status quo. So one treads lightly, evaluates, discusses with the already initiated.